John Blake presents The Day the Nazis Came, written by Stephen R. Matthews and read by Barnaby Edwards. Forwards. Norbert Zeitler, Lord Mayor of Biberach. Of all gifts that fortune grants us, there is none greater than friendship, no greater wealth, no greater joy. So, in the spirit of this quotation from Epicurus of Samos, I am delighted to write a foreword for this book. Here, close to the town of Biberach in southern Germany, the Lindeler camp was located. When the French liberated the camp on the 23rd of April 1945, they found internees from many nations. Though the camp was supervised by the International Red Cross, I do not want to euphemize the situation. The people interned here were robbed of their freedom. Despite the close quarters, the lack of privacy, the cold, and the continuous supervision, a spirit of humanity existed between the internees and the population of Biberach. For me, this is a very positive sign. Stephen Matthews reports about Franz Leib, the deputy camp commandant, who saved his life. Entries in his mother's diary about Helen Roschmann, a translator at that time, and also contacts between women having their babies at the hospital, which led to friendships between people from Guernsey and Biberach, which had been fostered for generations. They sowed the seed for today's friendship between the island of Guernsey and the town of Biberach. Every year reciprocal visits take place, and former internees bring their families to Biberach. Both here and on the island, there are people dedicated to perpetuating this friendship. I would like to thank Stephen Matthews for his initiative in recalling so graphically this humane aspect of the Second World War, and wish all the listeners of this book the wealth and joy of friendship in the spirit of Epicurus's words. Sir Richard Collis, Bailiff of Guernsey. Most of the people who will listen to this book have lived through a time of peace in Western Europe, and have not had to experience the world wars during which our parents and grandparents suffered. Many of us will have heard first-hand accounts of World War II from those who lived through it. Often the stories will be of the bravery and courage of the men, and in some cases women, who fought for the freedoms we have enjoyed. Those of us who have had the pleasure of living in the Channel Islands have heard from those civilians who suffered as a result of enemy occupation of their homes. I have heard many extraordinary and often heart-wrenching as well as heart-warming tales. Sadly, most of those who lived through the occupation never wrote down their experiences, often because the memories were too painful. Consequently, many stories are no longer remembered and will never be recalled. Those, such as Stephen Matthews, who have recorded and preserved their memories, have made a valuable and beneficial contribution to our understanding of all that war entails. We all need not only to remember the bravery of those who fought, but also to realize the suffering endured by ordinary civilians. In doing so, we ensure that future generations will learn about the horrors and futility of war, and will grow to realize that we must strive to maintain the peace and freedoms we currently enjoy. We also learn that the hatred and evil encouraged and perpetrated by the leaders of nations are not always shared by their citizens. Compassion and humanity are not the characteristics solely of one side of the battle. In this book, Stephen Matthews conveys the memories of his own and his family's experiences of enemy occupation on the island of Guernsey, followed by deportation and internment in Germany. It is a personal tale, not only of the horrors of war, but also the love and compassion that human beings on both sides of the conflict were able to show to each other. Such mutual respect for our fellow beings underpins the contacts that now exist between the communities of the bailiwick of Guernsey and the town of Biberach. Through such friendships, understandings are able to grow between different communities, and, through those contacts and by remembering the suffering of our predecessors, we hope that
Sample complete. Ready to continue?